It is now. All right. Okay. The medium's mind is in a little bit of a fog this morning, so we battle with that. And as we clear away that and establish our link firmly within the mind, I now become present and begin the conversation that we are meant to have. So today there will be a continuation of a talk or continuation of our topic, which will give an inference back to the biblical disciples. This talk will not be done by myself, but by another. Another who has the best qualification to talk on this issue. But before we pass over to this other speaker, there are 2 points to bring up. And firstly, the intention is to, from next week, to add a healing component to these talks. So should you wish to add a name of a person that requires healing, could you please send that name to my medium? And the first few minutes, the healing will be sent to all those on that list. It does not matter if you are listening to replay or if you are present. It does not matter the time zone, and it also does not matter if, when this is live and the healing is sent, whether you are awake or not. The healing will be sent and will be with that person and used when the appropriate time for that person is. So if you could send those names to my medium, he will add you to the list. Now the second point is, during these talks we are talking about the qualities of spirituality, and we are referring them back to the discipleship and its disciples also mentioned within the Bible. Now, this of course is not strictly about either the Bible or the disciple. Rather, it's about the qualities that you can draw toward you. You can draw each of these disciples or each of these qualities to you for you to use. It is not about meeting somebody called Simon, Peter, Andrew, James, John, Philip, and today Bartholomew. It is not about Jesus in the Bible having these people as his disciple. Rather, it is about the true nature of man using these qualities as part of his evolution along his spiritual path. You can read the Bible from the point of view of a battle of ego and the qualities attained along the way, and the qualities that, let us say, Jesus obtained, which he said himself that you also possess. This too you can do and more, is a quote attributed to him. So these are the qualities which are waking up, are available to you, that you may see at different levels. They are not qualities to be attained, but rather qualities that you can use that are already there. You have the strength, the courage, the one to determine between love and justice. You have them all within you already. You bring them forward on your path, and you may see them awakening on your path in different orders for different people. They do not awake in the order necessarily that I am saying. For some, it will be a totally different order. Some only one or two qualities. but regardless, they are available for everybody. All you need to do is to select them, add energy to them, and affirm them within your being. And then you may choose to give them away to another, help another with their version of it. And in doing so, you will strengthen it within you, and you will realize that you cannot give away something you don't own. So you too must possess that. So let us continue our journey. And I will withdraw and allow the other to come through. Lately, I have to stand around waiting to be picked, and today I got chosen long before my time started now. Anyway, got me serious head on. I've got to talk all serious stuff. I've got to keep it all posh speak. Now, the quality we want to talk about today is represented by Bartholomew. It's not a name I can say very well, but you'll have to go with me on that. Bartholomew. It's kind of got an F in it somewhere. Anyway, I want to talk about imagination. And not just like imagination where you sit rumbling in your head thinking, what am I going to do? This is disciplined imagination. You've got to think to yourself, what's disciplined imagination all about? How can imagination be disciplined? I'll think about this creatively, but only in this way. Don't make sense, does it? But what it really means is keeping yourself focused on a task that you're going to let yourself think over and come up with some crazy ideas about. Well, maybe not so crazy, but ideas that you could use in lots of different ways. Ways you never thought about. Ways you think to yourself, well, I don't know, what am I thinking this for? All sounds a bit wacko to me. But anyway, now, you see, the problem with education, the problem with education, you see, imagination is really what determines those people who you think are bright sparks and those people who are let's say, less than bright spark. If you look at those people in history and say, how do you manage to think of all these things to say and do or create? I say, well, I used my imagination. And they imagined them. They imagined them into existence. And they used them then. They created them. And have you ever noticed also some of these people, and maybe you haven't noticed this, some people are very creative, very imagination type people. And during their let's say upbringing, they're really creative. They go through the education thing, it stifles them a bit, and they never achieve what they're gonna do. And you get some which push through that, and then they create all sorts of weird and wonderful things. You see, Education should be about bringing out what is already there, shouldn't it? Allowing the child to be imaginatory or something, whatever that word is. Imaginatory, it don't sound right, but anyway, and allowing them to be what is already in. You see, imagination is to reveal what is hidden within the being. It's accessing knowledge and knowledge beyond the limitations that education can put in the way. You see, education then fills people with rules and regulation, tells them what to expect, stifles the imagination, and then every 12 months says, no, we've got something different now. Here's a new set of education things to think about. What you thought before ain't true. Now here's the next bit. And then 12 months later, no, that ain't true either. He's an updated version. So education fills you with things really of yesterday. It don't fill you with things of tomorrow, does it? It's only when that people push those boundaries, step outside of what we call the box, if you wanna, outside of the limits, outside of what they're taught or believe, and then other things open up. Now these people imagine something which already exists, and they bring it forward. They imagine the knowledge to do it. They imagine the creativity to do it. They imagine the way this would help, let's say, society, the world, or something. They would use it to such an extent that they create something beyond whatever they could possibly think within their limited knowledge. See, how does something get invented if you only use the current set of rules and regulations? Well, it don't really, does it? You might be able to hammer a piece of wood in a different way to another piece of wood, but after a while that becomes very limited as well. So these things have to already exist, and the mind must be encouraged to go deeper to find out other things which are available, which is exactly like mediumship, isn't it? No, it's not giving you something that ain't there. It's just giving you something that's already there, that's waiting for you. A loved one is waiting for you for your next message, already sitting next to you. Your next message, that deceased relative is already standing by your side, whether it's next week or even next month. They're already standing there. Well, think about it in terms of knowledge. How can things be invented if they didn't exist anyway? All that's happening is you're fine-tuning the knowledge, or fine-tuning the access to the knowledge. And then true wisdom is not about accessing the knowledge, it's how you apply it, isn't it? These people are wise not because they've got a piece of wood, they've just figured out how to put them together to create a shape. Wisdom's the putting together, the knowledge is the piece of wood, isn't it? All we got to do is let imagination run wild, and then things become very different. You can think of things at a different level. What if we did this, but we changed it upside down? What would happen then? Do you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, things are very different for you. So we need to add right at the very beginning, it needs to be disciplined. Now, disciplined, of course, means that you've got to be prepared to access this, and you've got to learn how to do it, and you've got to learn to access this different knowledge, learn to access all the facts that exist, all the facts around. And then you need to be shown the way that this can come together. Isn't it some of the sculptures who say, or the art was already within the stone, I just brought it out. The painting was already on the canvas, I just allowed it to come into the light. Well, it's the same with all your other inventions. You see, one thing that's always been mentioned is sit still and listen. Listen what gets said to you. Listen. Stop trying to make it happen. Just listen and let us tell you. Let that knowledge be accessible to you. You know, you at times you got problems, and when you got problems, you say to yourself, "I don't know what I'm gonna do," and you know what I mean. You say that, don't you? And then you figure out, well, if I push this and I pull that and I shove and I try hard, then I will achieve. I will get through this horrible time and get to the other side. Well, the truth is that too much effort. Truth is, stop, listen to what's going on, listen to what we're saying, and then you'll find sometimes these obstacles can totally change. Totally. Shall I say it again? Totally change. And change in terms of the way you look at it. If you listen to us, if it's meant to be you have that problem, then it's meant to be you have the solution to that problem. And if that's meant to be, then that problem is of your benefit. And how do you know? Why don't you just ask? Why don't you just sit still, ask? Ask the question, what have I got to do? When have I got to do it? How have I got to do it? And listen to what comes up. Now, I said before that it's like a bubbling within consciousness. Nothing exists outside of consciousness. You've just got to wake up to its presence. Well, problem and solution come exactly the same time. The solution to your problem and your problem knock on the door at the same time. See? Now you're thinking, well, that ain't true, is it? Well, it is true. You think about it. It's already there. The answer is already there. Wake up to it. Wake up and then you'll smell the roses. And you'll know everything is then in a divine order, divine plan. Everything's working tickety-boo, and you'll be perfectly okay, and everything's just going to get back to being wonderful. So all you got to do is sit still, listen, and ask the question and listen a little bit more. And then the solutions come. So this is the disciplined bit. And the discipline bit is then just knowing how to do it and doing it. You know, this is not really rocket science, is it? You know, this ain't rocket science. And this what determines whether somebody is going to be considered creative or not, be considered wise or not. You don't need to know everything to be wise. You just need to know where to find it or allow it to come. Sit back, relax, let it happen. That's the bit. So try it yourself next time you're confronted with a different situation, a problem, or something you need to address. Calm, and this gets the panic out of the mind. Sit still, step back, listen, and there's the answer. You see, if everything's available to you right now, then the solution has to be available to you right now as well. And that's how the two of them are always together. Nothing more needs to be done with that. And if you just follow these simple basic rules, everything will come out crystal clear for you. And nothing new needs to be done. Now, the other thing with this disciplined imagination, or Bartholomew, we've got 3 F's in his name now, Bartholomew, he's gonna, all of this is really then about you reconnecting to spirit. reconnecting to your spiritual self, reconnecting to your being, not just from the point of knowledge, which the wisdom bit is about, and the imagination, but it's also about the emotional aspects which are available to you as well. Now, the emotional aspects I'm talking about is how to deal with certain people, how to help certain people, how to be of a connection to them, how to show them the way themselves. For those of you who are doing some teaching and educating, the biggest thing you can do is give your students this ability. Is this not shining your light and allowing the moths to come to your light so they realize their own light inside? Is that not the same thing? Of course it is. And it's exactly the same. So you as a teacher, then you should just show the way. That's all you have to do, show the way. Show them how to find it themselves, reveal what is already there. How can anything be invented really if it doesn't already exist? Think about it. There was a story ages ago that scientists went to see God and they said, "We don't need you anymore, mate. You can go on holiday, take a break, put your feet up, take it easy. We're going to take over from now on. Don't need you. Thanks very much for your services. Your watch, on your way." Anyway, and he said, "Okay, all right, you show me." So the scientist says, "Right, we think we created life ourselves." "All right then, you show me how you do it." And so the scientist bent down, picked up a bit of dirt, and God said, "Get your own dirt." Now, think about it. Science will never be able to create life because it always needs some element of God to do it. Some element of something created by the creator to do it. It thinks, "Oh, well, we'll be able to add chemical A to chemical B and then bingo, we got it." Well, that don't make any more sense really, does it? Just another way of doing the same thing at best, but it's still all part of the element of the creator. You see what I mean? See, everything has to already exist. At times it's just put together in a very different way to what you think to create these possibilities. So life already exists in many different forms, both on this world and on other worlds. It has to. And if all of this world was to fall over and nothing existed here anymore, which that is not a prediction, by the way, for those of you who are getting a little bit worried, it's not a prediction, but if it was to happen, life would still carry on. Life has to carry on. Life is what you could call indestructible. If you want to use that word, it's an eternal thing. It's not a moment thing. That is why you are the very life that you create into this world. And that is why all the inventions that are ever made, will ever be made, was made yesterday, today, and tomorrow, already exist. They have to, because it's already within the conscious state of creation. So what you create, you think you're the first person to create it, but in essence, you're already revealing what is already available. It may be new to you, you think. Maybe new to the world, you think. But it's really impossible that that is the case. So if you think about that one step further, the inventions of next year the year after, 10 years' time, sit with you now and are waiting. Now, I'm talking scientific or material inventions as this example. But they already sit right on that precipice, like a book on a shelf waiting to be pulled off. Would you like them? Would you want them inventions, or do you want to give them inventions through to somebody else to create? Well, they're available now to whoever wants to pick them off the shelf. That's interesting thought, isn't it? Interesting thought. If you can accept everything is available right now, then the inventions for yes tomorrow are available now. And the way you access them is be still, come back, let your imagination go wild. Let spirit do the driving of the car, the boat, whatever it is. Let us do the work, and then you'll realise that really they, as in spirit, are in more control than you think. Who's actually driving your car? Who's actually living your life? Where does all this movement of creation come from? Again, if you follow this trail of thought, you'll end up with a headache, I'm sure, but it will mean that you discover the truth that there is really just energy and thought, and then the observer of all that. I don't want to get too deep because I know a few of you have trouble if we go too deep, so that's for the others, it ain't for me. I can't explain it as well as they can. That don't matter. Anyway, so your mission is to sit still and let the knowledge come to you. Now you do it, as I've said, within your mediumship, so why not do it within your creative needs of your problems in your life? It ain't no different. Ask. Be quiet and ask. And remember, when you're working with somebody, let them have their imagination. Bring it right out. How can you use it? Now go a bit deeper. What other uses can you make? And as has been said before, you can always find something deeper to understand if you get caught within what is already there. If you get caught within the material world, look to the spiritual world. It'll explain things clearer. You see, how's this happening now? Why is all these talks going on that's going on through this medium? Why? Why bother? You know, why would we and him and you, why would you bother? You know, the reason you bother is because you know what I'm saying is true, and you know what I'm saying is available to you now. Let's just change the words a little bit. So I know this is going to make it sound repetitive, but for some people they'll understand this bit better. Instead of trying to invent something, reveal the emotions that are there. Let go in a way you can connect to others. Is it true you have no strength within you? Is it true you find it difficult to relate to other people? Or is it true you just haven't learnt it yet? You see, those people who and I'm generalising here, those people who can't read, when they use that term, it's not that they can't read, they just haven't been shown how to yet. So that tells them that you do have the ability to read. You've got to find your way, which may be different to the norm for some. There's some people who say, I can't relate to people as well as you can relate to people. I can't add up as well as you can add up. I can't open my heart like you can open your heart. I can't give the way you can give. Truth is, you just haven't been shown how to, or you're accepting the negative, not the positive. How can it be true that one can do it and one can't when both are one? Truth is there's some limiting behaviour or limited pattern. Some have accessed a different scale of knowledge than you have. That knowledge is available to everybody. You can all do the same skills. No way have we ever said that this medium is more talented or has more ability than anybody else. Never been said by us. You have the same that he has. He's learned something. You could learn it and all. Been time and dedication, of course. You've got it as well. Learn how to access it by learning to pull it up from the inside. And then you'll realise that there is nothing that is not available to you right now. Nothing at all. Now, I've repeated this more than once. If you're just a little bit astute, you don't have to be very astute, which is lucky. But I've repeated what I've said deliberately. Because sometimes some people need to hear it more than once. So test yourself on it. Test yourself in a few different ways. The first way is when you've got a problem, sit still, be quiet, let the answer come. Second way is let your imagination create your life. Let your imagination create your future. Don't they often say to people that you can be anything you want to be? You know, what would you be? And then society conforms people and you accept it. And the other way is, how do you know you can't do something? Find out. Find out if it's true or not. And then you'll discover that you really do have more available than you think. And you do it by being open, connecting to us, allowing it to come through you, allowing that skill to come through you. So if you want to heal the world, if you want to fix that bad injury that you or somebody else has got, as long as everybody is willing, your ability sits within you to do it. You just got to pick that book off the shelf, open it up at the right page, and there we are. Everything's there. Have you ever heard of the word or phrase Akashic record. Yeah, it's got other names and all, hasn't it? Well, isn't that then a body of knowledge? It's called a fancy name, and it's going to be spoken about again. But think about it. The Akashic record is supposedly, in your terminology, a record of everything that happened, everything that will happen, and everything that might happen. And it's recorded. Well, is this not that body of knowledge that I have spoken about? And because it also has potential, then it also has the ability for you to use it in other ways. And did I not say in another talk that consciousness is full of potentiality, where you can be, do, say whatever you like, and you can follow that path of experience where it takes you. So everything that potentially happens, as well as does happen, is available now. And not just yesterday, but also the ability to access tomorrow is available. Tomorrow, or the events of tomorrow, have to be flexible because of potentiality. Now, what if I said one more thing? Because I said, if you remember, just everything that potentially could happen is written down as well. Now, you might find that you'd kind of disagree, or you can't get your head around that. How can I write about every potential? Because one potential on top of another potential will make this like a spider's web where you're just one little dot in a corner. Well, every potential becomes a reality, and every reality lives its own life of potential again, and then more potential and more potential. So the complexity of life, the universe, other universes, other spirits, other possibilities exist all at the same time. So let me give you an example, right? Imagine you decide to yourself, should I have potatoes or carrots? And let's say you decide potatoes, and then there's another choice, and then there's another, let's say another three choices, and each one of them has got three choices, and each one of them has got three choices. Before you know it, you've got 1,000 different things, haven't you? 1,000 different things you could have for dinner. Just starts with a potato or a carrot and then goes on. What about if every one of them dinners is actually being lived at the same time? So then you can see, surely you can see, I hope, that the potentiality for everything exists. The knowledge for everything exists. Your access to it is just a change of thought. How you see life is just the way you see it on this one particular avenue of spiderweb. And what does it matter if you make a choice this way or the other way? You're going to live both of them anyway. So not only then is this applicable that you can see within thoughts and inventions and choices, but this is how the unified spirit divides in all its different ways. What if I, or change the word carrot and potato to somebody living in the north and somebody living in the south, and then male, female, then rich, poor, and there all of a sudden you've probably got, I don't know, 20 versions already, haven't you? The spirit lives every potential, every version, every possibility exists. Now maybe your head's kind of all fried, or maybe you're thinking, oh, geez, I thought this was going to be an easy one to get my head around, but so this tells you you have whatever you want in life and you can have it now, and what all that matters is you'll take yourself on a different experience. Open up to what you want. Don't matter what you pick. Matters more that you're there to enjoy it. Where you view it from is the important bit. Test it for yourself. Is it true you got no strength? You're not capable? Not strong enough to deal with it? Is that true or not? So this is where you call on Bartholomew with 4 Fs. And you call on him and you say, come with me, mate. Let's open up to what is possible. And create the life you think you want. Because you can. God bless you. Remember Bartholomew. You could say that the truth of who you are is more like the spider walking across the web, where you think you are the web, but the spider goes to every corner, is available to every part, is not hindered by all the sticky parts that exist in one corner or another. The spider accesses everything, takes what it needs, and continues on its way. And each part of that web, you could say, is a different part of knowledge. Knowledge in the left corner, knowledge in the right corner. If you are the web, you are stuck with what you've got. But if you are the spider, then you can go from left to right whenever you like. Use everything that you have by just becoming aware that you are the spiritual self. So next week we will continue our topic of what else is available to you and referring it back to the calling towards you of the disciples. The disciples, which are the qualities which you need, the qualities which you possess, but you think you do not. And we will also add the healing element to these talks. So wherever you are, if you would like, please send the name of a person that requires assistance. And listen in the future weeks for a potential message for the occasional one that is required. But even if that name is not acted upon from the point of view of a message given for that name, the healing will go to them. So, until next week, become the spider. God bless you all.
That was lovely. Thanks, Matt.